Hi, we're going to do some lighting. This demo is about painting with light. Now I'm down in my basement. I've got kind of a little mini studio set up here. I set up a still life. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Working through some themes, some issues. Got a photograph of my mom right here. That's my mom when she was a graduate of stewardess school for Eastern Airlines. And a bunch of other things which you'll end up probably seeing in the final image if you don't see them well right here. I've got my camera set up over here. I've composed for this. I checked my focus with a few test shots. That's all good. Switch the autofocus off, so that's not going to change. I've got a cable release. I've got my camera set to bulb, which allows me to keep my shutter open as long as I want. And I've got a little cable release that I can lock it into place. That's very helpful for doing this. And then I've got some lighting equipment, and I want to show you this super fancy lighting equipment. Flashlight. Simple flashlight, okay, with a little filter on the end. So when I turn it on, I get, in this case, kind of pink light. Pinkish purple magenta kind of light. And I've got another one with a little bit of green light. Green filter over the end. And I've also got one that doesn't have anything. It's just a plain white light. Now, to aim this light, I've got a few different things I can do. Really cheap tin foil. Wrap it around my light. Now, the purpose of this is not just to aim the light, it's so that when I'm shining it on my subject, which I'm going to do, my camera doesn't see the light itself, doesn't see the light source, so I'm not going to get all these kind of squiggles in midair. I really just want to light this subject. So I can wrap tinfoil around my light so it kind of creates a little bell, a little, almost kind of like a snoot in a way, but not so narrow, to prevent the light from spilling back. Fancy stuff in the studio you would do this with is called Cinna Foil, and it's matte black instead of being shiny on the outside, and it's really thick gauge. I've also got, in order to aim my light, ooh, here's a fancy piece of lighting equipment, paper towel. You really only need the tube part, but I happen to have like a whole roll. And this, when I use my kind of just main white light, I'm going to aim it through paper towel tube to aim the light very specifically, in this case, at that portrait. I've also got one where I taped, so you can see this, I taped a red filter over the end of the tube. So when I use this one as a snoot, I'm going to put it on that shoe down there. I can aim it very specifically at that one spot. Okay? And in addition to all of that, I also have a flash with a little blue gel over the end of it. And I'm going to use this to pop a little color into the ceiling back here. Now, why would I hit the ceiling? That's not in the picture. But it actually is because I have a mirror here, and the mirror from the camera's angle reflects this area of the ceiling. So I'm going to light this up nice and blue. Getting started with this, I do all of these individually to figure out about how long do I need to go. And it's a lot of guesswork. And I started with just, I think I'm at, what's my ISO here? I'm at ISO 100 and f8. I like to use f8 because it's going to be super, super sharp. And then the question is, how long do I have to paint stuff for? And so I, in the dark, open up the shutter, paint for what I think might be about the right amount of time, maybe 5 to 10 seconds, and I go back and I look at it. And that was too bright. So you know what, the next time I'm gonna go a little faster, not more like 10 seconds, but maybe like 5 seconds to do the whole pink side. I check that, hey, that looks actually pretty good. Then I'm gonna go over, I'm gonna do an exposure for just the green side. Okay, green side is also maybe about 5 seconds from top to bottom. The flash took me a while to kind of find out like where do I need to hit the ceiling, but just a little bit of trial and error. And one way that I figured it out is I looked through the camera at the mirror and I held a little, it's actually the tripod that the phone is on right now recording this. I held that tripod until I could see it in the mirror, and then I knew exactly what spot on the ceiling to hit with the flash. And each one of these I tested with just a single exposure, and I'll edit those hopefully into the video So you can see those kind of one by one, how I'm building this up. So I've got 5 different things I'm gonna do. When I turn off the lights, I'm gonna first hit the ceiling with the flash with the blue. I'm gonna hit Mom with the white light for just a little, like half second. I'm gonna hit that shoe with a little red light, maybe for about a second. I'm gonna come over here and do pink for about 5 seconds on this side. And then I'm gonna come over to that other side and I'm gonna hit that other side with green for, again, about 5 seconds. I gotta remember to do all of those things. And I'm doing it in the dark. Now, if you can't get rid of all the light, that's okay. I've got a little bit of light coming in through a window over there. It's at night, there's not a lot of light, but it's just enough for me to see by. Very, very faint light, barely there kind of light, it's okay. The camera's not gonna pick up on that too much. If you can work in total darkness, that's possibly really good, but you might end up tripping over stuff, so clear the floor, make sure you know where you're going. Practice this a couple times. We're ready to see how this works. Again, I'm gonna do this with the lights on first. So I would start the exposure, click. The shutter's open now. I'm gonna take my flash and I'm gonna flash the ceiling over here. Okay, there's the flash of the ceiling. Now I'm going to aim this at Mom for a second or so, just about like that. That's a pretty bright light, so I don't need to shine on her very long. Now I'm gonna take the pink light. Now, this one I don't have tinfoil wrapped over. I could wrap tinfoil over it, but you could also just hold your hand so that it blocks the light from the camera. That's the main thing, is that you don't want the camera to get any lens flare. You don't want to see any streaks of light in midair, unless you do. And that's kind of a different type of light painting. So anyway, I go over that for about 5 seconds. And, oh, you know what? I forgot to hit the shoe with the red light. So I'm gonna get that little flashlight again and shine it through my paper towel tube with the red at the end and hit that shoe with a little red light. Maybe hitting it from over here would be a good idea. Okay. And then my green. My green will be the last. And my green light, I've got my little tin foil wrapped on it. Okay, turn on the green, and then I'm gonna hit the green over here. Oh, about 5 seconds or so. And then I'm also gonna like look under here and shine it on the little Virgin Mary statue over there. And that's where I wanna be really careful to not let some of the light get back into the camera there. And that's a good reason to have the snoot on for this. I call it a snoot, but I mean just the tin foil. Okay? Put your tin foil on. Anyway, so I'm gonna turn off the lights. I'm not sure how well this will read with the phone on, but let's just try it. And open the shutter. First thing I'm gonna do is take my flash and pop it on the ceiling. There's my blue ceiling that'll reflect in the mirror. Now I'm gonna hit Mom's portrait with a little white light. Okay, not very long. Now I'm gonna hit that shoe with the red light, which I almost forgot last time. And I'm gonna move around and hit it from a few angles there. Okay. And put that back. Now I'm gonna grab my flashlight with the pink gel. Turn that on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm gonna grab my flashlight with the green gel, turn it on, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I kind of move it around because I don't want the light to have a strict shadow. Now I'm going to reach under here, under this chair, which is part of the still life, and I'm going to hit that Virgin Mary statue back there with just a little bit of light. All right, and now I'm going to close the shutter and turn the lights back on. All right, and now we get to look and see what it looks like. And it looks pretty cool. Nice little array of color. And I will take you through all those little pieces individually and show you the complete image coming up next. As a follow-up, now we're here back in Lightroom.
I've imported the images. I shot more than what you see here, but this is my initial test shot just to check focus. And I would shoot this on my camera and zoom in on the playback just to make sure everything was nice and sharp. Don't take any chances. The next thing I was doing was working through how long would I need to paint something with that flashlight and the pink gel. And I started out just as a guess with ISO 400 and aperture of f8. And I tried painting the thing for about 10 seconds, and it's way too bright, and it's way too saturated. So I think the next thing I did was I tried painting it for just 5 seconds at 4, and it's still a little too saturated. And so then I backed the ISO down to 100, and I painted it really fast, and then that was like too dark. So I kind of settled in between. I was at ISO 100 in about 5 seconds or so of painting. Then I did a similar approach to the green, working through how long would I paint the green. It was around the same amount of time. Then I did an exposure where I did both of them. So this is one exposure, painted with the pink on one side, painted with the green on the other side, checked it, liked the balance, it's all fine. But then I noticed, that portrait isn't nicely lit up. It feels like it's kind of lost in there, and it's kind of got pink and green in it. So I thought about doing just an image of just that, and I shot that with some white light and tested that out. Figured out the exposure time for that. I did one exposure test to find out how the blue looked and where the blue flash should be aimed on the ceiling to get the best full mirror of blue. And then when I was all set, as you saw me do in the previous section of the video, I did it all together with the lights off. I'm looking at my exposure time here. It took me over a minute to get around and paint all of that. But in a dark space, it doesn't really matter how long you go. And there is the completed image.